Hey, it's been quite a while, hasn't it? It's been, oh, good grief, since May. Well, before May, since April, since I've done any kind of recording for my vlog, a Saturday vlog, and I think this post kind of sums up what I'm feeling about social media and putting myself out there, and I don't know, I'm not quite sure. I have a lot of thoughts, but and I'm trying to figure out exactly which way I want to go. So if you've read my stuff or on my blog, or you've listened to me, I'm always trying to figure out which is the best way for me to take. And yeah, sometimes it's confusing. Sometimes it makes absolutely no sense to you because, of course, it makes absolutely no sense to me. So I guess we're just going to kind of get into it. I'm going to be, if you're new here, you know that I pretty much follow the outline of my written blog, but I add a whole lot of other stuff because I'm a chatty person. I will talk a person's arms, legs, ears, noses, hair off if we're in person. So I kind of go off on some tangents. I try to keep this to about a half an hour. So if you are listening, you can kind of plot the rest of your time. But yes, there are times I do run over as well, because again, I'm a very chatty person. So let's start with my latest blog called Social Media Ennui. And yeah, long time no read. What's the dealio? Yeah, it's been quite a while since I posted my last blog. The month of May was my holiday, away from any sort of regular posting on my website, as well as all my social media accounts, which I kind of at this point think I have too many of them. Then May rolled into June, and I honestly just didn't feel as though I had really anything of the utmost import to communicate in blog form, written form. I mean, even the updates didn't sound, particularly exciting. Yeah, I got up, I worked on art, I went and got a coffee, I walked over here, I did this thing, I went outside, I saw some flowers. Yeah, you're going to get bored with that kind of stuff. My life is not a white knuckle thrill ride of a roller coaster. But I'm not really like experiencing a burnout when it comes to the blog. It just didn't warrant me sitting down and writing a blog post about it, Hi, I have nothing to say. Thanks for tuning in. Buy some of my artwork. See ya. I didn't think that was enough. And I'm old enough and have enough experience as an artist to know that I'm in kind of this really weird in-between place as it regards my art practice. And it's kind of splashing over a little bit into my overall mood, if that makes any sense. I'm done with a bunch of stuff, and they're off my plate, and I have a lot of different possibilities of where I could go and what I could do. And I'm kind of like not feeling which way I should go. I had a lot of ideas I've been working on, things I've been writing down. I've been working in my sketchbooks, and my project books, and I've been doing a lot of research for pieces that I want to start very soon. I'm just not into kind of my usual firm, fast creating flow state, quite yet. And for me, that kind of feels strange. I like getting up and having a thing that I cannot wait to work on. So I've got stuff going, but it's just not where I'm really into the flow yet. And if it makes any sense, I know it's coming. I can feel it's coming. My explanation of this always feels so clunky. For me, my inner monologue, my spidey sense is going off. I can feel it. I know something's coming, but I just don't know what, where, and when. Does that make any sense? But that's not really what I wanted to talk about today. And if you've been watching, looking at my Instagram or one of my other bajillion different social media platform posts, I'm working on stuff. I've constantly got stuff that I'm posting, but it's in the stuff that's happened in the last week or so is what I've really wanted to talk about. And I think some of that splash over of not kind of being in a flow state is affecting a lot of how I'm feeling, in particular about social media. One of the reasons I took May off from my regular social media posting and participation in it is because I've been feeling kind of burned out on like all of them. And I don't mean like, oh, I'm so sick of how Instagram keeps changing the algorithm kind of burned out. I mean the entire concept of social media as a thing that exists in the world, I was kind of burned out on. The fact that it's even there. And I need to preface this by saying, as a Gen Xer, I am not an internet native. I was born in 1970, so I understand and have full experience of what life is like prior to computers and the internet becoming so important to just the societal function. And that's beyond social media. I'm talking about how people get their bills paid and do their jobs, how they go to school, all kinds of things like that. I know what it's like before, and I know what it's like now. So I kind of have a foot in both worlds. And by the end of last April, sorry, great big delivery truck coming through. Somebody's getting some FedEx in our neighborhood. I felt like a Hannah Hillam comic that she did in 2017. Now, if you are listening to this, you're going to have to go and check out my blog post, because I do have the original that Hannah Hillam posted. I also have a link to her work because she is absolutely fabulous. At present, I'm looking at a pin that I bought from her site called Trongleman, which is one of my absolute favorite pieces ever. And the comic, anyone who's been dealing as successfully as possible with clinical depression, for over a decade, I can see the humor in Hillam's cartoon. In the beginning, the depression was this giant thing that was swallowing you up whole. And now after, more than 10 years, oh, good Lord, it's going on much longer than that. 15 years? 16 years? I'll have to do math sometime. Anyway, for me, that first block, the first panel of the depression kind of swallowing her up whole was just, that's how I've begun feeling about social media. And I did do a little redo of her original. But again, it's Hannah Hillam, not mine. I've been feeling as though that social media has been just this giant thing that's kind of grasping onto everything in my creative life, in my business, etc. And it's kind of a deal with the devil, I think, in a way, if you believe in devils and that sort of thing. So the bright, shiny object in all of this, think about what social media is. And it's kind of like that anglerfish, that really scary-looking fish that lives in an extremely dark ocean. There are like 20 different kinds of them. I did a little research on them. They live really deep, and they have these little appendages on their heads that they dangle around, and there's a little shiny bit on it and a little wormy looking thing, and fish will come in and go, ooh, this looks nice. And then they get eaten by this gigantic fish, giant teeth. Any little critter that comes close enough, is instantly made into a meal. And right now I'm beginning to feel as though, for me personally, in a professional sense, that I'm in danger of kind of being gobbled up by social media. The lure of being able to show my artwork to more people all around the world every day has been, a hell of an attractive carrot for me. When you're, one person in a room in a country, but I can show my work to people in Australia and people in Malaysia and people in Sweden and people in Canada. That's amazing. After all, more eyes on my artwork is a good thing, right? The more people that see my artwork and like it, the more I will sell, right? It's kind of a yes and no. And I've whined about this in the past. This is the point in which I tell myself, I have to remind myself my work is very niche and I'm not going to sell a whole lot of it. So I'm cool on that part. I've got that, under control. I've already talked about how likes and hearts and thumbs up, don't ever really translate into actual purchases. This is something that thousands and thousands of my fellow art creators know. What we also know is that many of these social media platforms, the ground is constantly shifting. Things that are being done that we have no control over. Sometimes things are shifted around, the algorithm is changed so much that our posts are buried, not even seen by those who are our most ardent fans, friends, and patrons. Each of us is competing against the thousands and thousands of other creators on social media, trying to capture the interest of someone who will stop, look at our work, like it, and then take the leap off that social media platform, say to a website or someplace else, third party where the artwork is sold. And not a whole lot of people want to do that. People on Instagram want to stay on Instagram. People on Ko-Fi want to stay on Ko-Fi. People on Imgur want to stay on Imgur. People on Pinterest want to stay on Pinterest. The taking that leap thing doesn't really happen all that much. And it seems like with each passing day, the weight of making sure that I'm being seen on as many different social media platforms gets heavier. It's sucking up a lot of creative energies, and I struggle to understand why I'm getting downvoted on posts that I make to Imgur, or why the videos that were getting great review numbers on Pinterest are suddenly tanking. Both of these things are happening. And I don't like the fact that this is in my head, taking up space when it doesn't need to be, if that makes any sense. Somebody across the planet downvotes something I posted on Imgur, and I'm like, what did I do in this 16-second video that so ticked somebody off that they gave me a downvote? This is where being a YYY girl is just, this is getting into axle wrapping territory, and I shouldn't be thinking about it. Seriously, the downvotes on Imgur really sent me into a freaking emotional tailspin the other day. It was Friday. Oh my God. But my meds work. And I got myself righted pretty quickly. It didn't last very long. It was like a 2.5 hour freak out. But I was upset that someone's momentary dislike for my artwork 2 weeks ago actually made me feel like shit. I mean, seriously, so much so that I actually went through every single post I've made to Imgur in the past 2 months to see exactly how many downvotes I had accumulated. And you don't need to tell me that that's not normal, because, I know it's not. And the more it happened, there was more that's happening that was making me feel even less good about social media in the last 2 weeks or so. Okay, so we need to get back into the Wayback Machine. When Baron and I moved to Finland, we didn't speak the language at all. Rudimentary words, phrases, but not much more than that. Yes, no, kiitos paljon, haluaisin, kaksi kahvi, that kind of stuff. I did learn to order in a restaurant really quickly. I'm very food motivated. Most of the television programs that were on regular television were in Finnish. And at that time, I don't think we had a television until maybe our third year in Finland. A friend of ours who was moving sold us their really nice television for a really good price. And that's when we kind of started getting regular television. But there were not that many English language programs that were airing, and there were some that were on, but they just weren't interesting to either one of us. I personally liked watching Dudsonet, the Dudesons. Think of Jackass, but like way nicer people. And I thought way funnier too. It's basically the Dudesons, the brothers that are doing it. It was just fun and goofy, and they did all kinds of silly stuff. Not mean-spirited, not dangerous stuff. These are Finns we're talking about. They're not going to do anything that's going to be mean or dangerous. So for the first couple of years that we lived in Finland, we just basically turned to the internet, specifically YouTube, for a lot of things to watch. And we do know that YouTube is a social media platform. It is, very much so. We watched a lot of YouTube. It was free. We're trying to save as much money as possible while we were getting ourselves established. We wanted to buy some furniture, so it's like, we'll just make do. We'll watch YouTube because it's free. And we watch all kinds of different YouTube creators. The vast majority were from the US and the UK, or at least the people who had their channels, at least in English. It was easier to understand and wind down kind of thing. And over the years, we became regular watchers of a lot of YouTube content. I really hadn't paid a whole lot of attention to YouTube before we moved to Finland. And, I got into it so much that I launched my own YouTube channel there, and I post my weird little videos and little video tutorials on how I make things. That being said, I'm nowhere near the level of viewership some of the YouTube channels I watch have. As of today, I have 64 subscribers, with the vast majority of my views coming from India. And if you are listening from India, thank you very much for subscribing to my channel. There are quite a few channels from India that I also like watching as well. So thank you for all the views. Big wave from Delaware. Now, recent events, and I was a little cagey on the written portion of my blog when it came to these bloggers, not bloggers, vloggers, or YouTubers, I guess you would say. So I'm going to be less cagey here because this is the audio version of this, nor am I going to mention any of their names in any of the descriptions. So you're only going to hear them here. And a lot of this is allegedly. I am saying that. Allegedly they did this. And I get that from some of the YouTubers that I watch that talk about events that could be possibly not quite legal. Or maybe there was some criminality in there. I don't know. Allegedly. I don't know. Nothing is carved in stone right now. So when we moved back from Finland, of course, we're establishing ourselves again. And guess what? We still don't own a TV, partially because we're just fine watching stuff on a laptop. It's no big deal. And you can kind of put it away so it's not like you come into our house and it's welcome to my TV, kind of thing. And I was looking for something new to listen to while I was working because I'm kind of in this little 6x8 room with a window. And I really don't like listening to books because I'd really rather read the book. So I like finding YouTubers that I can listen to. So it's kind of like I'm listening to a podcast kind of thing. Because again, it's free. Because I was looking for free things. And I came across a YouTuber, and I'm going to go ahead and say their YouTube name, Illuminati. And I kind of liked the subject matter that they were covering. And it was nice because it made me kind of stop and then do some lateral reading about things to find out and learn more about maybe a subject matter that was presented that I really didn't know much a whole lot about. And yeah, I have mentioned their name now. But if you want to learn more, if you don't know who Illuminati is or what's been going on, and you care to find out what's going on, I have a link in my blog. You can go and go listen to Rebecca Watson on YouTube. Her take on this is almost exactly the same thing that I was feeling. And I like Rebecca quite a bit. She kind of has the same sort of thought pattern and reasoning about the whole thing that I do. So I'll add that link in here. You don't have to go back to the post. But there's so many things that are linked in the post that you want to go back and look at. Okay, never mind. So, you discover a YouTuber that you like is not necessarily the nicest person in the world. And you can extend this to things like, when Bill Cosby, the scandal came out about Bill Cosby, what do you do about that? How do you, or Louis C.K. Sarah Silverman talked about the fact that with Louis C.K., she had viewed him as someone who was a good friend, a mentor. And she had this cognitive dissonance going on because how can he be this thing to me, but then also have done these horrible things? How can Bill Cosby be Cliff Huxtable, America's dad, and also be doing these horrible things, raping women? It's this weird, icky feeling, completely icky feeling. And remember that when I'm talking about Illuminati, this YouTuber who has done some things that I find morally and ethically problematic, again, allegedly, she is also incredibly litigious. And in the past, seriously, 5 days, another YouTuber that Barrett and I watched in the past, but it quickly got old. It's Colleen Ballinger and Miranda Sings. That started going really boring for us, and it was problematic for us enough that we had stopped paying attention to her as a YouTuber, and the vast majority of the Ballinger family, strangely enough, with the exception of Rachel, the youngest sister, who has her own YouTube channel. And I had been enjoying seeing her journey in the last couple of years, coming out, becoming her own woman, knowing, being embraced by the LGBTQ community. I was really, she does happy, cute content, tries out products and plays with her dogs. I mean, it's kind of fun. And it's very much separate from the rest of the giant Ballinger clan. But then some of the stuff that's coming out about Colleen is kind of splashing onto Rachel because there's some Colleen couldn't have been doing some of these things without Rachel knowing them. It just kind of muddies the water waters, and the whole thing, Illuminati and then Colleen Ballinger and all of this, really, given my feelings right now about social media, this was just kind of, the last two YouTuber controversies have really upset me and have made me really want to rethink what my relationship is with social media as a consumer and as a creator, an art creator who uses social media, including YouTube, as a means of self-promotion, because I don't have an advertising budget, so I got to go with the free stuff. But there's always going to be a cost. And for me, people might be saying, I don't understand, why am I so upset about these? Now, why are you so upset? Because even though I know that I do not have any kind of personal relationship with either of the aforementioned YouTuber creators, I feel as though I have been lied to by them. The face that they presented to their audiences was not who they truly are, allegedly, and I feel tricked. I feel duped. Perhaps this is my own personal mental and emotional trauma speaking here, but I detest being lied to. When someone does lie to me successfully, they successfully tell me a lie, and I'm like, okay, cool, I believe you because I'm a trusting idiot, and I find out that they lied to me, it makes me feel like a prize idiot. Like, put me on display at the state fair kind of thing. And again, I don't know these people. I don't know Illuminati. I don't know Colleen Ballinger. I've never met them. There's never been any kind of messages, DMs, text, etc. between us. Nothing, nada, zilch. I don't know any of these people. I don't call them my friends. I don't want them to be my friends. I don't feel any need to meet them or go to their shows or interact with them. But there still is this kind of like parasocial relationship going on. Do you know what I mean? I know more about them than they know about me. And that's, I guess, what comes with when you gain a certain amount of celebrity, even within a fairly small space. And it's causing me to rethink how I'm using my own social media. So when we get to my social media accounts are filled with my artwork. I did post a picture of my Conan O'Brien looking hair from a morning sleep earlier in the week. The avatars for my social media accounts are closely cropped photos of my face. I gather that most people wouldn't see me and connect me with my social media accounts from those carefully curated and cropped photos either. You might recognize me from my voice. That has happened in the past, but it happened in a very small community. While I do talk about all kinds of different things, especially how I exist in the world as a person, with a clinical depression, who makes a lot of art and doesn't sell extremely well, blah, 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 why, wine, cry. I don't show pictures of my husband. I don't show you pictures of where I live. I may talk about going to a local restaurant or a shop, but I don't actually show that much of my life other than my art. And here's where it's like, you need to take a huge hint here. My life is pretty much all about creating art and my husband, and that's pretty much it. Big secret. And while I wrote that paragraph, I was reminded of an art school classmate. This is way back in the early 90s. It doesn't seem like it's that far back, but 1970 was only 30 years ago. The first thing that this classmate said to me that just kind of made me go, what? She said, you talk and talk and talk, and you never say anything. And then, like a few weeks later, she said this thing that just really creeped me out. It said, you remind me of that book, The Picture of Dorian Gray. And she didn't do any follow-up. She didn't tell me exactly why she thought, what about me personally that reminded her of Dorian Gray. And I've been left to think for, several decades, that it's probably not very good things that she was thinking about me. So, the fact that she just didn't elaborate, it just kind of scared me a little bit. So I guess right now, my social media, I do curate very carefully so that I don't show a whole lot of my life. And these other creators and other people on social media share much more of their life, their children, their pets, where they live, etc., than I do. I am not comfortable doing that. Perhaps it's because I don't want people getting too interested, or perhaps getting too close. While I am a person who talks a lot and shares a lot of things that some people might find strange, I'm still keeping people pretty much at arm's length. Like I said, you couldn't pick me out on the street. I'll sit here and blather on endlessly about, clinical depression and my own journeys with medications and therapies, etc. But I'm not going to invite you into my house or my life to talk about that. Does that make sense? Perhaps I do just talk and never say anything at all. Who knows? So right now, I'm of the opinion that I'm personally not getting the grandest of benefits from daily participation in the algorithmic post-apocalyptic hellscape of the vast majority of social media platforms. What's even more worrisome is that I'm not exactly sure what I will do about it either. Do I want to continue playing a game that I'm extraordinarily bad at? Or do I need to circle wagons? Do I need to cut bait? I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. Living in Wilmington and getting to know my neighbors has made some changes in me. My husband jokes that I'll talk to absolutely every person I meet on the street about anything. He's not wrong. The people in Wilmington are kind and friendly and very welcoming. Very open people. Not a day goes by that I'm not happy that we chose to settle here in Delaware, in Wilmington in particular. I'm beginning to feel as though those sorts of relationships are more, when it comes to you're looking at cost-benefit analysis, or which one seems to suit me better, or which one is giving me something in return, even if it's just saying hello to someone on the street. My husband has been joking that I have been getting compliments. I recently purchased a couple of dresses in some colors that I don't normally wear, and they're much brighter, more vibrant colors. And each time I've worn those dresses, I've gotten lots of compliments. So there's interactions there that I feel, when it's a human face-to-face interaction, there's something better about that than the social media sort of thing, where I don't know quite what the rules are and the ground keeps shifting. Does that make any sense? I'm not quite sure where I'm going to do or how I'm going to do it. So, this comes to the, what now? I'm kind of in, like I said, that kind of flux, weird in-between stage right now. The Finnish side of me needs to do some more research so I can make the best decision for myself personally, and also for my own small art business and art practice. That is about all that I can say about that right now. What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? How are you going to do it? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to go about that. I know that for right now, what is increasingly worrisome to me is the amount of time and creativity that I'm devoting to social media that I am not necessarily benefiting from. That is time that I could be spent doing something else within my art practice that is much more beneficial to me. And I think that as much as it scares me, I feel as though I need to reach out more in the arts community here in Wilmington and find venues, places, people with whom I can speak, show my work, participate in events, because the social media for right now, the amount, I need to dial down the energies that I'm placing into social media, because it's not getting me what I want or what I need. There goes that car alarm again. There's a car alarm in our neighborhood that it's the same car, and it will go off sometimes for like a half an hour. And it's like, it must either be like the touchiest alarm, because it seems like, seriously, a squirrel farts 3 streets over and that alarm goes off. Oh, it went off. That's very nice. So I'm not quite sure where I'm going here with regards to social media. I like my YouTube channel. I'm going to continue with that. I know that. I I'm kind of ambivalent right now about Instagram. I don't think that Imgur likes me very much. Pinterest seems to be weird. Tumblr ain't for me. Reddit has all of its own problems right now. It's all, and I just started a Ko-Fi page or coffee page, which is, I'm kind of enjoying. Let's see where that goes. But I think I am going to be trimming some branches and looking at how and where I'm posting and why. Because I have a lot of data to look at because I record things all over the place in my journal. I have a lot of numbers to crunch and things to look at, and I'll figure out what's right for me. So now that I'm officially back, I'll hopefully be back on a regular posting schedule of posting on Friday and then audio, or posting on Saturday and then the audio on Sunday. So if you have any questions, any advice, any suggestions for what you think I might do, if you just want to commiserate with me about social media being weird and feeling let down when people that you kind of thought were sort of okay turn out to not sort of be okay, allegedly. Stephanie Harlow says, don't come for me. Don't come for me. It's all alleged. So anyway, I'll see you again in the written blog next Friday. And at least, let's see, I'll probably do another one. It all depends. It really just all depends. I really want to get on a regular schedule, but sometimes I just don't have anything to say. So thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.